Welcome to Read It or Unhaul It, friends, a series where I downsize my physical unread book collection to my heart's content. Last year I made a jar containing the title of every single unread book in my collection, with the hopes of running through my physical TBR as efficiently as possible. In episode 1, I found some new favorites. On episode 2, I found my first unhaul, and we are now down to 100 unread books. The concept is simple. If I read a book and I enjoy it, I get to put it in my read shelves. If I read a book and I don't enjoy it, well, it joins the unhaul pile of books that need to be rehomed in the hopes of finding someone that will enjoy it more than I did. This is Read It or Unhaul It, episode 3. And what a joy to be back with this series, because I have not filmed a Read It or Unhaul It episode since early on this year. In fact, I started out the series and I have only made 2 full episodes of this series. Today, we are going to do this a little bit differently, and that is because we are going to film this video over the course of the next week to a week and a half, which means that I don't want to know my full TBR at the time of starting this video, which is what we have done for the other episodes. Right now, I am not feeling myself kind of catering to a specific genre, so I'm not going to pick a specific color from the color-coded jar, but when I finish the first book a couple of days from now, I might be feeling strictly fantasy or strictly romance, and I want to make sure that wherever I go to next is exactly where my reading mood is at. So, in the hopes of being honest with myself and true to this headspace that I've been following for July, which is a lot of mood reading, I definitely want to give myself the space to do that with this video and with the Read It or Unhaul It jar. Let's mix the jar up and hope that whatever I get to first is actually a good book that ends my streak of DNFs and lowly rated books, because we have to break past it, honestly. It's been bad. I also recently watched K-pop Demon Hunters, and I have to be very honest, after seeing Foul Lady Fortune recommended as one of the books that feels like the movie, I know I said earlier I'm not in like any specific mood, but I have been wanting to pick up Foul Lady Fortune. What happens if I just pick out a dark blue, which I'll leave the key right here on the screen for what each color means. Dark blue is YA fantasy, so maybe I can test fate a little bit and see if it's Foul Lady Fortune. And you know what? Push comes to shove, I also don't have a lot of dark blues because I don't have a lot of YA fantasy unread on my shelves. If it's not Foul Lady Fortune, then I can just pick something else. I make the rules, so why not? I have a dark blue right here, so let us go for that one. Test fate out a little bit and see what the universe has got to say, because you know what? Maybe the universe doesn't think the Foul Lady Fortune's what I need to be reading to start out the video, so we can just actually read Foul Lady Fortune. Oh, I love it. Listen, I am all for signs, and this feels like a sign. This feels like validation from the universe. This is what I need to be reading right now. And so I'm very excited about this, actually, because I've been meaning to read this series for a while. Not only do I have it right here. I have the Fairy Loot edition, which I know is like on my red shelf. I have not read this, but that's because I have, please hold. I actually have the arc of not only the first book, please hold, but also the second book. You know, it is shameful when you look at these spines and you realize that it's September 22 and September 23. Because I've not yet read these, and I've been meaning to do so for a while because I absolutely loved these Violent Delights and Our Violent Ends, I feel like it's time. Hopefully this will kick us off good for this Read It or Unhaul It video, and hopefully we can find a new favorite book. I'm excited. I love that I've been reading this book over the course of the last couple of days, and I have not once given you an update. And the problem is not that I haven't given you guys an update. The problem is that I am absolutely 277 pages into this. I am further past the 50% mark. I have about 223 pages to go, if my math is correct. So I definitely think I'll be finishing this very, very soon. And the only reason why I haven't hopped on to give you guys an update so far in this Read It or Unhaul It is simply because the book itself so far, although it's really good because it's very well written, it's very interesting, the book is very slow. And that's when I say that for these violent delights are violent ends, and definitely with this, like, there's some overlap in the structural integrity of the story and its intersectionality with its genres that is a little bit misleading when shelved as a fantasy, because it doesn't adhere to the regular conventions of a fantasy book. It does have elements of magical realism in a way, especially in the topic of experimenting on humans and giving them very particular abilities. However, it is not fantastical in any way. It is much more historical, because in this book we very much see the conflict in 1930s China between the nationalist and communist parties, the infiltration of the Japanese into Chinese territory in an attempt to colonialize certain areas of China, as well as the very early stages of what we now know as the Sino-Japanese War. If I were to brand it as anything, it reads more historical magical realism, which is why I can understand that it's shelved as fantasy, but it can be quite misleading for the people walking into this series and fully expecting a world full of magic and the likes. However, I am really enjoying this. We follow our main character, Rosalind, that we obviously see in the first series, These Violent Delights. We meet her in that initial series as the cousin to the main character, Juliet, and she now is the protagonist of this second follow-up companion series. We see her now as an established assassin by the name of Fortune. She goes undercover at night, targeting very specific individuals fed to her by the spy branch of the Nationalist Party, by the Kuomintang, and she takes care of these threats, makes sure that they are eliminated. She does so silently, and she does so with poison as well. However, the real premise of the book is that she is contacted by the leader of her branch and her supervisor, Dao Feng, I believe that's how his name is pronounced, and she is contacted and inserted into a mission to infiltrate a Japanese propaganda newspaper, Sea Green Press, with the hopes of sniffing out this serial killer that has earned themselves the moniker of Priest, who is targeting very specific sectors of Shanghai, targeting the common folk specifically, via poison as well. And it is a huge mystery as to who this person is. They don't know if this is a threat by the Japanese government, if this is a means to destabilize their government, who exactly are they targeting, what is the exact reason as to doing it, or if it's somebody coming from their own ranks. They have got no idea, and they are mobilizing different people in order to figure out who this threat exactly is. And so Rosalind, now going by the name of Jenny Med, is essentially told that she is to convene in this fake marriage with another covert operative by the name of Orion Hong, so that both of them can infiltrate Sea Green Press and attempt to figure out exactly what is going on. However, both of these characters, despite having to work together on this mission, are under very specific orders and under as well distinct orders. While Orion is told to carry out very specific missions and seek very specific information, Rosalind is told to seek out very different information, and often their mission doesn't necessarily overlap. There is a lot of distrust between these two people, outside of the facts that even their commanders, their leaders, are telling them not to trust each other with certain bits of information. And so it's really interesting to see them navigate this sort of game of cat and mouse with each other, because Orion doesn't know who Rosalind is. He doesn't know her prior affiliation with the Scarlet Gang, which is the gang that we see primarily in These Violent Delights. On top of that, we also have Orion's sister Phoebe and his friend Silas, who are also a part of the plot, as well as his other brother Oliver and Rosalind's sister Celia, and we see very distinct sides of the political landscape of China in the 1930s throughout these fictional characters. While Phoebe, Silas, Orion, and Rosalind all adhere and believe in the nationalist effort, we have Celia and Oliver who are sided with the communists. And so it's really interesting to read from the perspective of characters who definitely believe in that nationalist effort of a centralized government, while you have the communists who adhere to that Marxist ideology and who will fight for it till the death, and have very distinct points of views in the story. I think enriches the experience, and it also builds a clearer picture for where our characters stand and why the country is so divided at this time in the early 1930s, because at the start of the book, 1931, one of the main events that we see is the invasion of Manchuria by the Japanese government, and we know that to be the catalyst of, again, a lot of events that led up to the Sino-Japanese War. I really did not expect the book to play out this way as a follow-up to These Violent Delights, but I am pleasantly surprised to see how much I'm enjoying this, despite this sort of book that tends to lean more historical, not necessarily being my cup of tea. I love the way that Chloe Gong makes this an accessible read for younger audiences, which is my other thing. When I read YA, this is, I think, the type of YA that I continue to enjoy, the one that takes care to build its world up responsibly and in depth and in a way that makes it believable for the reader, whilst also building these amazing characters that you get to understand fully and not compromising on any of those fronts in order to deliver, you know, a swoon-worthy romance or maybe a plot that is more dumbed down because, you know, there's no credit given to younger audiences to be able to understand material like this. And so this I very, very much appreciate, although it has moved quite slowly in its first half. I am really curious to see how it's going to pick up throughout the second half, so I can't wait to keep on reading this to see where she's going to take the story and to see where our characters will land. The last thing I read was crazy, so I definitely want to get back into reading and see what happens after a very big explosion, if we will, that just happened in the book. Can't wait to also see further progress with our main character Rosalind, who is incredibly closed off and jaded, specifically in the topic of love. She doesn't think she's deserving of it. She doesn't quite believe even in the convention or the idea of love after the events of the first series. And I'm also very interested to see how she is going to beat past that feeling, because although her connection with Orion so far is very tense and it's very verbally sparry, I don't know how we'll get to a spot where she will be able to open up and be vulnerable and perhaps express her love in due time for him and be willing to sacrifice things for him, because I'm sure that's where we're headed. And I really am enjoying also that although these two characters, you know, in this whole ploy of a fake marriage in order to infiltrate Sea Green Press, even though they are, you know, convening in this fake marriage thing, they are not really swooning over each other, and I enjoy that. They are not really secretly vying for the other or being super angsty. They are just doing what they have to do. They're just doing their jobs and they're focused on that, which I appreciate in turn. And the few moments that we do get of, you know, the slight touches and the slight glances and a comment here, a comment there, feels so rewarding because we know what that's going to lead up to, but it's definitely not the focus of the story, nor is it derailing them from their main target and their main purpose, which is to uncover this whole plot with Priest. So far so good. I'm gonna go back to reading because, as you can see, I am currently sprinting with my patrons, so it's going to be quite fun to keep on going and see where the second half will take me. was letting the blood run. His hands were pushed hard into the floor, braced on the concrete. He looked like a conquered deity, barely contained in its human vessel, head bowed on his knees, palms down in supplication. Rosalind, he managed, go please, and he was a deity begging. Friends, it is much later in the day. I am back home from Taekwondo. I am running on 0. It might not appear it, but bodily I feel weak. I think it's because I didn't have class for a week because they were at a competition in LA. And they just came back this past weekend, had class today for the very first time since last Monday. Today's Monday as well. And I feel it. Every corner, every bone, every muscle in my body is currently going through it. So all I want to do is give you an update about this, pick our next book, and then head out to a coffee shop and see if maybe having a little matcha, maybe a little something sweet, and just having a time outside of the apartment will help, you know, the spirits to get a little higher, because I am definitely feeling a little bit under the weather. And I know if I stay home, I will do nothing with the rest of my day. However, Foul Lady Fortune, I think I was too shocked at the end of this book to shed a single tear. But if I could have shed a tear, which I was near tears, by the way, I definitely would have. Because what was this ending? I know after reading These Violent Delights and Our Violent Ends that Chloe Gong does not hold her punches. However, this ending was insane. I don't know how I did not catch the twist at the end of this book. Not once. It didn't even cross my mind. I didn't even think about it. The book has so many well-placed red herrings that you think will amount to something different, a different result, and then when you get to the end of the book, you're like, stop, because everything is so well foreshadowed too that by the end, it all makes such perfect sense too. So on both ends, it was perfectly executed. And I ended up loving this. I'm giving this 5 stars. What a great way to start out a Read It or Unhaul It. If it were up to me, I think I would read book 2 immediately. However, I did not realize that the novellas, from what I have heard, from what I have researched upon finishing this book, Last Violent Call, which is the in-between between this and Foul Heart Huntsman, I do not own. I checked my library. My library doesn't even have copies of the book, and I checked out the digital version of it. It's $11. At that point, I went ahead and got the physical. I just ordered it from Barnes not too long ago because I was gonna order a couple of other things too from other series that I'm continuing, like Full Metal Alchemist, and so I took the opportunity to order Last Violent Call as well, so that when that gets here, I can read that with a quickness, and then we can jump right into Foul Heart Huntsman. I'm not sure how much that in-between novella said factors into book 2, but I've been seeing explicitly read this before that. I'm not sure why. We'll find out in due time, because if I've learned anything about Chloe Gong is that even if it's a short story, a little short something, she will also write that well. I had the greatest time, especially with those last 100 pages. Everything got so hectic, so action-packed, twists and turns at every turn, tension between the characters. The spy assassin nature of the story was literally amped up so high on those last 100 pages, and it was so rewarding because for most of the book, it feels like we're making baby steps, right? Baby steps to investigate who Priest is, if they are involved with the communists, if they are involved with the Japanese, what exactly the ploy is there, and who's trying to destabilize the Nationalist Party. And we don't really make a lot of headway, as I would assume it happens in real life. Like, I assume that for covert operatives, when they are out there investigating what they need to investigate, a lot of the time the findings are not going to happen so quickly, and there's probably going to be fake trails along the way to set them off. And so I love the way that a more slow setup led up to the greatest ending that wants to make you pick up the second book immediately. Because I will say, there aren't a lot of specifically first books in series that I pick up that end in such a shocking or gripping way where I want to binge a series, which is why I don't. I mean, we know this. I have the finishing series, I'm in the middle of series, and I take so long to get through my series because of that reason. Because often the endings aren't enough to, you know, make me want to binge them. I'll still read the series in due time, I'll read them slowly, but I'm not picking series up like that. This morning when I finished this, I genuinely had the urge to just pick up the second one and say, fuck everything else. But again, I'm being responsible with the video, and I know for a fact once I get Last Violent Call, I can put that and Falheart Huntsman in a finishing series vlog, which I think will be very fun. So we're gonna leave that for another sort of content so that I can also chat about that when the time is due. This, just know, was amazing. I love how at the end of the book, especially in those last 100 pages, we see our two main characters really defy their train of thought thus far in terms of not wanting to fall for each other, not wanting to trust the other so much so that they can kind of sneak and worm their way into their hearts. And we see them be more vulnerable. We see them realize that, specifically Rosalind, the way that she has been operating after the end of these violent delights might not be everything that life has to offer. She finds herself caring again. I really am also enjoying, which is somebody that I didn't talk so much about in the updates, Liza in this book, but Elisa Montalova, who is Roma's sister in these violent delights. I loved seeing her in this book as well, and seeing her now older and as a communist agent infiltrated in Sea Green Press as well, and everything that she brings into the story, not only in its comedic relief, but also in commiserating with Rosalind over the fact that they both lost people that they love, and that even though their sides are technically at war with each other, they can still find a friend, a confidant, and somebody to trust in the other. And I really do love that. I really loved Elisa's character, and I can't wait to see where she goes in the next installment. I think it's gonna be really, really fun. And dare I say, which I didn't think I'd find myself saying, low-key think I find myself loving these characters just a little bit more. Maybe not so much Rosalind and Orion over Roma and Juliet, because those two were However, I think the side characters in this one I loved just a little bit more than these violent delights and our violent ends, which is saying a lot. But I think this book in itself, like tonally, it feels like a 007 movie. It feels like an Ocean's 11 movie sometimes. It feels like a Marvel movie, like Winter Soldier. Close enough. Welcome back. Welcome back! Oh my god, this was so good. It really was. So 5 stars to this. Definitely not unhauling it. Absolutely. Absolutely. I am forced to film on this side of the office mostly because it is really cloudy. It looks like it'll rain. It's been thundering, I think, for the better part of the last 2 hours, because even when I was in Taekwondo class today, it was thundering. We're gonna shake her up. I genuinely am terrified for whatever I'm to pick up next, because what in the world is gonna follow up Our Lady Fortune? Like, that book was so good. I think it's gonna be really hard to top by whatever is gonna be next. So hopefully the universe will be kind to me. Let me pick out this one. Oh wait, is this another? Oh, another YA fantasy. Ooh, I'm scared. Me looking at the shelves, I'm like, what else do I have in here that's YA fantasy? Not a whole lot, let me tell you that. We've got, oh wait, maybe the universe heard my plea. To be very candid, I was planning on using this for a finishing series vlog, but maybe this will actually give me the push I need to read this and not put it off for any longer. So we have got We Free the Stars, which is by Hafsa Faisal. This is the second book in the Sands of Arawiya series, which again, I was planning on saving for a finishing series vlog, but now that we're here, I guess the universe wants me to read some good YA books. So who am I to say no? And I have got the book right here. Still, if you can see it right here, still with the bookmark I was using in here. What was I using? Oh wait, I do kind of like this bookmark. I'd forgotten that I owned that. I'm on chapter 2. I was also annotating this when I had initially started it. I don't know that I'm in the mood to annotate, but I am gonna take this with me to, again, the coffee shop and see what happens. And if I do feel the urge to annotate anything, what I'll do is just take a picture, or I guess I'll just take annotation tools with me. Who am I kidding? It's best to have them just in case. I guess well, we're not speed running this, but we're reading this sooner than I thought, because my plan is after this video to film a finishing series I'm in the middle of. So I guess this takes it off our plate for then. Oh my god, Safina, you have one job. Safina, you have one job? What do you mean? Friends, I have been reading We Free the Stars by Hafsa Faisal, Hafsa Faisal, however you want to say it. My tongue likes to say Faisal just because it sounds pretty. However, I know it's technically in English pronounced as Faisal. However, I've been reading this. I've been reading this for 2 days now. And the one problem this book has is the fact that I cannot stop reading it. It is a genuine problem. I am so mad at myself that I have waited this long to pick up this book. Every finishing series vlog that I have made, I have thought, maybe I should pick up We Free the Stars. Maybe it's time. Maybe I should read this book. And I don't know if it's the fact that I loved book 1 so much that it intimidated me going into this one, but it is so good. To give you the perspectives, okay? To give you a little looky look. I am on chapter 43, which is page 242. That is how much I have read without giving you a single update because I am out here screeching. I've cried. I really wish that I had vlogged more of my reactions as I've been reading, but a lot of my reading has happened early in bed as I'm just reading it actually on my Kindle, or late at night when I'm just settling into bed and I don't really want to have a camera with me, think about, oh, what angle do I want to film this? I have just been enjoying my time with this mostly. And it is so freaking good. We follow our main character, Safira, who is known as the Hunter. This mysterious entity of sorts that goes into the Ars, which is this shadow-like magic that is taking over the realm in order to hunt for her people and provide for the people in the way that the government is not. She sets out on a journey to find this lost ancient magical artifact in order to reinstate magic in the kingdom of Arawiya in the hopes that that will allow for more prosperity for her people. The other POV that we have that is our male love interest, but also one of our main characters, is that of Nasir, the Sultan's son, also known as the Prince of Death, the Prince of Night, who has been trained as an assassin from a very young age. He is taught by his father and his mother, for that effect, that he is supposed to be unfeeling, uncaring, and also unlovable. He sets out on a very similar yet different mission. He is also to sail out into the Ars in order to retrieve said magical artifact, but also kill the Hunter. And this is how their paths cross and how their journeys become very entangled with the other. Obviously, they are love interests, but they are also on their own individual quest as individual people. And alongside them, we also see other side characters from their respective POVs and side of things that merge into this beautifully complex cast of characters, from different royals to other assassins to other hunters to just regular people that live in Arawiya, all the way to immortal beings. The cast of characters is honestly really, really fun. We pick up right where we left off in book 1. After a huge upturning at the end of the book, we see the characters be completely thrown off by their new mission and what they have to do and what exactly it means to restore magic in Arawiya, because it is no simple task. It involves ancient magic, dark magic, magical artifacts, and a long journey against an ancient evil that they did not think they would have to fight. And so now, in book 2, we see the characters' quest diverge paths. So while in book 1 they are together throughout the entirety of the book, we see the characters kind of go their separate ways in this one with their own respective missions, and then meet in certain chapters and then diverge paths once more, all with the ultimate goal, obviously, of reinstating magic, but to also save the people that have been embroiled in a darker way into the plot and into the magic of it all in book 1. What I really love about this series is that, and it carries through book 1 into book 2, is that Safira, as our main character, really defies the normative in this world. The world of Arawiya is very normative. You know, girls are not supposed to pick up weapons, you're not supposed to be an assassin, you're not supposed to be a hunter, you're not supposed to provide, you're supposed to stay in your femininity and to be soft and to allow other people to speak for you, to provide for you. Not only Safira, but also some of the other side characters that we see them really step into this sort of divine masculine, or even more into their masculinity, where they are not afraid to do what has to be done. They don't want to be defined by the normative. They are not afraid to pick up a weapon. In fact, I love the fact that in this book, and it's specifically mentioned in this one, how Safira's Baba, her dad, was completely against what even her mother thought as far as what Safira should be doing. Her mom was very much the don't pick up a weapon, don't do any of these really violent things, while her dad really emphasized, my daughter will know how to do these things. She will know how to hunt. She will know how to defend herself, how to provide if need be. I want to give her the tools so that she can survive. And I find that very beautiful about her character, that she really has all of the tools that she needs, whilst not knowing a lot about the world, because there are a lot of mysteries in the world of Arawiya. She still has all of the tools that she needs in order to succeed out there. And I think that in itself is really, really lovely. And then going into Nasir's character, which again follows kind of that normative, really toxic masculinity role of somebody who was taught not to cry, not to show feelings, not to care, not to love, not to accept love from others. He, upon meeting Safira, is almost immediately enchanted by her, but he suppresses that feeling a lot, even though he's fascinated by her and the fact that she is very much not like other people around him, but also very similar, because he still knows women that are this strong and this driven. There is something about Safira that calls to him on a level that he cannot comprehend, even in a way that Safira herself cannot comprehend. Like, they fully cannot wrap their heads around it. And the way that he acts and thinks when he is around her is the thing that makes me scream and gets me all giggly, because there is something about emotionally stunted men in a good book that I'm like, absolutely yes. He doesn't know anything. This man doesn't know what to do with his feelings. He's like, wait, but why do I feel like that when I'm around her? But like, I want to apologize, but like the words can't come out of me. Like, I want to say all these different things, but like I can't say them. Or, oh, she won't look at me. Why won't she look at me? What did I do wrong? Like, should I ask? But I don't want to ask. I don't want to do all these things. And you can tell that there is this desire in him to push past what he has been taught to believe about himself and the way that he should behave and the things that he should accept of people throughout his life. He wants to push past it, but he doesn't know how to. And I love that in contrast, Safira is not putting in that work for him. She's like, what do you want? Like, I need you to fully define what it is that you want this, whatever this is, to be. I want you to figure these things out by yourself, because I am not gonna tell you what you should be doing. And I love that. I love the fact that these characters are, you know, helping each other out and they've got each other's backs when it comes to solving this huge mission that they have to do. But she's not pulling her punches either in terms of this romance that is slowly but surely developing. She's not gonna tell him how she feels up until he says something. She's like, you take care of that and then we'll talk. And I really love that about this book. I love that Hafsa really knows what to do in terms of that yearning and that tension and that simmering passion between the two of them, and that when they're having these very intimate, small, hidden conversations about, oh, what's your favorite color? And then Safira goes, oh, blue, because when my baba, and then she goes into a whole story about her dad, and she asks him, like, what's your favorite color? And he goes, you, every color that makes you. I'm just losing my mind because it's so good. And I love, this is what I love. I love when it's breadcrumbs. It's like a little bit, and then when you get to the end of it, it's like that reward. Because truth is, they can't really think of a romance, even though obviously, like, it's there in the background. It's like simmering, it's cooking. I love it because they can't really think about that, right? People are dying, people are starving. Like, they have to figure out how to essentially restore the magic and then rebuild the world anew in a way that everybody has what they need in order to live a prosperous life. And I love the way that Hafsa is doing all of that. I love that our cast of characters are all very skilled at what they do, be it hand-to-hand combat, be it magic. She knows how to build a cast of characters where every single one of the characters is so unique. They all have their own individual voice. You know, the immortal beings sound very ethereal, otherworldly, almost unattainable. But then you have got, you know, people that perhaps were in the military in this world, and then you see them be kind of rougher with their words. The assassins as well be very mysterious. Safira, somebody who has not known how to be anything other than herself. Like, yes, she is the hunter and she has to hide who she is because she knows that if the people find out she is the huntress and not the hunter, that all of her actions will be shunned by her people because, again, of the normative. She doesn't know how to be anything other than herself, and so she will be honest, but like she fights for what's right. She will voice it. She will constantly make the right choices, or the right by her choices, and she is unafraid to do those things. There might be doubt, but she is unafraid to do it. And she is always willing to do the right thing. And I love it. Like, I love how distinct each of these characters feel and how fun the story is. I'm having a great time. It is a 10 out of 10. I fear I'm obsessed. I can't wait to keep reading. Can't wait to keep, I don't know, going about this chaos and this disaster that's happening because nothing is going right. It's nothing's going right. Everything's going to shit. These characters can figure out their feelings for each other. It's everything. It's literally so good. And might I add, as I've been reading, remember how I said earlier in the video that I'm always running out of battery? Well, I'm also running out of out of space all the time. I don't know why I had the brilliant idea to use such a small SD card. Evidently 120 gigabytes is not enough, so we're here. As I was saying, as I've been reading morning and night in my Kindle, because that's just what you do sometimes, I've been alternating between reading physically and digitally depending on the time of day. Love it the most. I have got a couple of things that I underlined very importantly, okay, because I have been, again, screeching, crying, throwing up as I've been reading this thing, and if I have to read this, then you have to hear it, because who else am I going to talk about it with? Habibi, Hayati, Rohi. My love, my life, my soul, the words meant, but their meanings went deeper than that. Habibi was for friends and love that was real enough. Hayati was when love became an all-encompassing thing, deeper and deeper until one became the other's life. Rohi, when a soul twined with its match and loved with the force of 1,000 suns, when it slipped beneath the heart, entangled in the very fibers of an existence. I'm so sorry, Hafsa. You're gonna have to pay for my therapy. I'm saying it right here, right now, because everybody needs to know this. Like, you will be responsible for my trauma. Your turn. What color do you like most? His eyes flared before he could mask his surprise. Did he not think she'd ask him in return? It was always a game, capturing the small displays of Nasidica Mek's emotions. A game she liked, she realized. One she could play forever and never tire of. You, he said, so softly, it was only sound. The intensity of his gaze stole the air from her lungs. She shook her head. That every color that makes you. I am done. I am seriously done. But I am not done, actually. Please hold, because there's more. Again, that passage when her baba is saying that she will know everything. It's so good. Will you give me my own blade? Girls are not meant to wield the toys of men. Baba had disagreed. My girl will wield weapons, and she will wield them well, for it takes a special kind of courage to hold power and know when not to use it. Oh my god, stop it right now. And there's one more. There's one more. All of Arawiya believed that the Safin had quarantined themselves within their walls out of vanity and selfish self-preservation. It was self-preservation, but not of the careless kind. Not because they were hoarding their resources. It was because they had no choice. They suffered alone, quiet and brave. It was easy to believe that anyone who did not speak of suffering did not suffer. I love this book so damn much. I really need to grab all the things I've been annotating here and then pass them over to my physical copy, but just know this is every bit as good as I expected it to be, and then some. Like, it's genuinely that girl. Like, first of all, Hafsa, you are indeed everything that you think you are and more, and I hope that you know that. And this book, absolutely, sí señor, sí señor, sí señores, todo bien. Are we about to get the one that wrote Hafsa? The moon likes you, see how she shines for you. And what if I end it all? He's laughing! He's laughing! Not the quick bark of surprise that he quickly quenched. Not the whisper of one, but a whole and true laugh. It glittered silver in his eyes and talked back his head, rattling his chest and exposing his teeth and making it oh so hard to breathe. She wished she were an artist to capture this moment. She wished she were bold enough to cross the room and press her mouth to his exposed throat, to taste the sound of his laughter with her own tongue. Nasir, she replied as if she had never left, as if he hadn't forgotten how to breathe. Ah. Is that the end? I need y'all to know this book is perfect. It's perfect. This duology is absolutely perfect. I am so happy that the Read It or Unhaul It jar chose this for me, because otherwise I would have kept putting it off and I would have not read this so soon, and I would not have cried the way that I'm crying right now. Also, in between yesterday when I last read and then this morning, I'm also just, the nose is doing what the nose will do. I got new tattoos. I got a calcifer in a tea bag, and then I got a dragon and a sword on my hand. Listen, thought I'd give you the update, because that did happen, and we are here. This is, however, so not fair, because how am I supposed to move on after that? And the thing is, even though I was thinking, planning, considering choosing another book for the Read It or Unhaul It, after the fiasco that was the Pinterest video, 2 DNFs, and then a 3-star, which was the only salvation of that video, we don't need anything else in this video. 2 5-stars back to back. I'm not testing fate again. I am so good. In fact, I think this is as successful as it's going to get. 2 new favorites, and that's all we need. What I need you to know is the way that this book brings the duology full circle with the lessons for the characters. It does so beautifully. For Nasir, as somebody who believes that his only mission in life, his only purpose is to kill and end lives, for him to realize that there is so much more out there. There is love and there is compassion, and there is family and there is companionship, and that for as much as he has been raised a specific way, that is not all there is to life, so long as he is willing to accept that and see it and grow. There is a world of possibilities out there. And for Safira as well, as somebody who is so self-sacrificing for the greater good and for the people around her. I love that Syl's trying to grab my hair and eat it. For her to realize that she can be selfish, not only because every human deserves to be so, but because she's earned it. At this point in time, she has earned the right to choose something for herself. As somebody who is used to giving so much to others, she has to pour back into her cup and be honest with herself as far as what she wants and take it. And it's the same thing with Altair as a character, for him to realize that being in the shadows, being in the background is not all that he is meant to be. And the way that the book ends in a way that I found so very unexpected was so beautiful, because you truly see these characters live up to their full potential. I really do think so. Although it didn't play out exactly the way that I would have expected, specifically on one front that happens at the end, I think that the choices made specifically by Nasir make perfect sense as far as what the characters need, what they need to continue to learn outside of the spectrum of this duology specifically. And I really do hope that in the future we get an Altair book, because I think that would be so very interesting. and I would love to see that. And I would specifically love to see Yasmin in there as well, because I feel like that would be really, really nice. I think I enjoyed it far more than the first one, which is to say a lot. She's trying to bite the book now. Because the first one was already such a good book. Hafsa Faisal, you're just that girl. Like, Hafsa is everything that she thinks she is, and then some, and then more. Because this book really did me in. The amount of times I cried, I was not expecting. I think also, even though I've given a lot of books a high rating this year, because I've enjoyed it, I've enjoyed my time, maybe I feel like they're objectively well written, nothing comes close to how this book has made me feel. Like, the fact that I felt giddy, I was giggling, I was crying, like I was going through every single emotion available to me in a way that I don't typically. I feel like, especially not recently with books, that in itself to me is the book's biggest accomplishment. And it reminded me of why I loved reading so much and why I fell in love with reading when I was younger. Like, that's how this book made me feel. And I think in that, the book is very, very special. But I love this. I love how the book emphasizes a message of empathy and understanding and love, even when all of those things seem unachievable, unavailable, and even unattainable for specific people. You know, when people that have hurt so many don't find themselves in an empathetic space, how do you empathize with somebody that is very much that? And how do you overcome obstacles with empathy? Like, I think it's really, really beautiful to view it that way. I think it's really beautiful how it was executed, and I love it. This was so freaking good. I feel like I've still not fully processed, obviously, because I just finished. And I wish I could be more eloquent about how I feel about this book at this point in time. I do feel like I'm gonna need a couple extra days to come to terms with what I just read, because that's how good this was. All of that to say, this book was definitely a 5-star. I think Altair, Safira, Nasir, Kifa, Lana, Yasmin, I think they all deserve the goddamn world. And I love that now they get to enjoy the world, and they've earned that right. I love that she's really trying to eat my hair. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up down below. Oh my god, this cat is going in on my hair. Y'all. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Comment down below if you've read either of these books, either of this series, and what you thought of them. And if you reach the very end of the video, let us leave some fire emojis in the comments. We hunt the flame, because the whole thing about the book is we hunt the flame, we hunted the flame, and now we have freed the stars. And I just, it is so good. So leave some flame emojis if you've reached the very end of the video, and let me know if you have unhauled any books recently from your collection, if you're thinking of doing so, if you would do something like this, of like reading a book, and then if you don't enjoy it, then unhauling it, or do you keep everything that you read despite you not enjoying it? Would love to know all of those things down below. And if you want more content from yours truly, Patreon is always linked down below. It is a great way to help the channel outside of watching the videos. You get a ton of different activities and live shows on a Discord server and a book club by joining Patreon, and it really helps make this a way more sustainable endeavor if you ever choose to support it. So it is always linked down below. You definitely don't have to, but I appreciate every single one of you that does. So if you ever want to, it is linked there for you to browse and see the things. And yes, I love you guys the absolute mostest, and I will see you on the next one. I'm gonna go recoup after finishing this. This has done me in. I feel like I still need to wrap my head around it, but we'll talk soon. Goodbye, sis.